Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Monday the 24th of May 2021. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to use the Morgan Greer deck for today's reading. Let's see what the cards have to say about Monday. Okay, so we have Death, the Four of Swords, and the Five of Cups. So Death represents an ending. We've got the Grim Reaper with his scythe there. He swings the scythe to disconnect to create a literal disconnect between the physical realm and the spiritual realm. So he comes along and restores things to their spiritual truth. In this case, he puts an end to procrastination, to a sense of dread that's hanging over you, and to endless grief and negativity and only seeing the downside of something. So here we've got the sun setting. So this is a process of endings and things coming to a completion point. We've got this river, which with the reflection of the sunlight looks completely red. So everything, the feelings, may be completely overwhelmed by this sense that something is coming to a conclusion, something is being closed off. And that's actually a good thing here with these two cards, because these two cards by themselves represent problems in their own right. So putting an end to those problems is a good thing. We have this bird flying off there, and by putting something to rest, space is created and freedom is regained. And the Grim Reaper in itself, I've never really cared for the personification of death as a skeleton, because why would a skeleton, the remnant of a human life, be responsible for recreating the balance between the physical and the spiritual? As far as I'm concerned, death ought to be a disembodied force, which I suppose it is. I guess a skeleton is going to come as close to some sort of ethereal ghost-like figure as you possibly can if you try and make it physical. Okay, we've got this purple around the cape here. That's spirituality and completion. We've got this red square. So there's friction between the spiritual and the physical, which he kind of puts to rest. And this white flower is a symbol of purity. So he comes from a pure place. There's nothing you can do to argue with this. The only thing that can be done with death is to accept it and to realize that this is a natural process that has to happen to create more space. So it's like you can see this as a pyramid almost. You take a step up on the pyramid and you have to rest and you have to complete everything that was down below, and you have to complete that one step you took. Then recover your strength and take the next step. And then once that's done, you have to grieve that and let it go. The fact that you're now 2 feet up from the ground level, and on and on and on until you get to the top. So death is an ongoing process. It's not a one-off. It's something that keeps happening over and over and over and over again. And that you can shed the old identity, create space for the new one, have it come in, then outgrow that, put that to rest, replace it with the new, and it's this constant upward climb to the spiritual truth of who you are. And you can't do that without reinventing yourself. And the reinvention process is really quite wonderful today, because we've got the Four of Swords. This is usually set in a church with a stained glass window. And the knight or the soldier is sleeping and he's resting and he's being held and he's secure. And what he's doing is he's thinking and he's preparing for the next thing he has to do. And because he's got this suit of armor on, it's likely that the next thing he has to do is negative or difficult. It's something that he dreads. These 4 swords are hanging above him and they seem quite threatening. So it's the same thing. It's contemplating something that is full of a doom and negativity and seems really unpleasant. That in itself, the anticipation of an action that you're not going to like, can really flatten you out and can really make you feel like, oh, How am I going to deal with this? In my experience, the anticipation of doing something that you're afraid of is much worse than the actual doing. So with the death card here, you're able to put procrastination to rest. You're able to act and to say, I'm going to face the music. I'm going to take this sword, which seems to be haunting me and which seems difficult. And instead of it hanging over me, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to grab one of these swords. I'm either going to knock down the other swords, or I'm going to use this as a weapon to decide, to clear space and to actually get on with things. Swords are your ideas and the way you perceive things. So rather than being a victim, with the death card, you're able to flip this around and you're able to take your power back, but watch out for taking it to the other extreme and becoming the aggressor. If you do become the aggressor, then you're going to create circumstances which are negative for yourself and where you then have to either apologize or backpedal a little bit in terms of your actions. And that's not a happy thing in itself. So in terms of a narrative, an ending to negative thinking can either free you up and allow you to reclaim your energy and your strength, or it can allow you to flip the script on the situation you're in life and you can regain your power. And ultimately, if you're someone who is grieving, like in this card, the Five of Cups, and focused on the negative, then you're able to put an end to that kind of behavior and perspective, and you're able to create more balance by seeing the things that have been lost, but also the things that still are. Or again, you can go to the very extreme and just look at the positive and go into denial and really feel like there's nothing negative at all going on and all you see is happiness and wonderfulness. So I think with both of these cards, the one thing to watch out for is going into extremes. Try and find some sort of middle ground, because both cards are, I feel, a warning that in terms of your thinking, you can be extreme. And extreme thinking is, I need to retaliate, or I need to insult, or I need to make a drastic decision without research. And in terms of extreme feelings, I need to hang on to something desperately. So desperation, because you feel like there's a lack of, or excessive negativity or despair, hopelessness, anything that really excludes the other side of it. So despair is the absence of hope, and finding more balance in that. All right, so the Five of Cups is a card that's quite interesting because it is all about perspective. And this young man or woman is grieving the loss of these cups having spilled over. The red wine is being spilled, and red is always the color of the physical world. It is connected with the root chakra, so your security on planet Earth, your health, your money, your sense of I belong somewhere. So we've got this castle in ruins, so it could be the loss of a home that's just burnt down and feeling really sad and unsettled as a result of that. However, we still do have two cups, and it's that annoying thing of saying, well, you know, you've lost something, but be grateful what you still have. And I'm saying that that's annoying because sometimes people will remind you of that, and it really is very little comfort. But it is a fact of life. Not everything has been lost. He's still healthy. He's able to withstand the negativity. He wasn't in the fire when the thing burnt down, so he's in good shape. He's clever. He's in good shape. These two cups could represent the fact that he's able to recreate another home, that he's safe and secure and able to have a future, that he's free now to decide how he wants to live in future if he was dissatisfied with that. Nothing is ever absolute. So the card in itself is saying that try and manage your perspective on things, and if you seem overly emotional, then again, try and find a middle ground there. And if you're only looking at something in a negative way, then really remind yourself that there is a positive inherent in that. That if you lose something, that it makes space for something new to come in. If you are rejected, for instance, then you're protected from a relationship that potentially wouldn't work out anyway, and you've got the freedom to pursue someone who's more of a match. So don't be so sure of things being good or bad. You don't quite know what is good or bad because you can't tell exactly what is going to happen to you in the future. You don't have the full picture. The only thing that has the full picture is the spiritual realm, and that doesn't give you the whole story. It only cuts off certain stages and allows you to start new ones. So don't procrastinate if you can possibly help it, and take action. It's going to be far less painful than mulling things over and feeling doomed and hard done by. Reclaim your power. Move on with the things that you have control over. Try and find a compromise, a nice, safe middle ground where you're not going off the deep end. You're not residing in the one extreme or the other, and you're looking at both sides of a situation. You're being objective. And I feel that the cards are saying that's the best way to move forward and to create this new future that you have the potential for. Because if you are either just looking at everything in a really positive way or in a really negative way, you're going to create something that's imbalanced again and slanted. And whenever you get the opportunity to create something new, it will serve you to create something that contains both up and down, good and bad, left and right. Because that's what the world is all about. So a balanced perspective is really going to help you a lot today, and it's going to ease anything that's tough emotionally or negative in terms of your thinking, and that feels like a loss. So those are the two areas that are affected, and both of those reside in you. Your feelings and your thoughts are abstract, right? So I don't see a lot of problems in terms of your physical reality or in terms of being passionate about certain things. I mean, we've got all this red here, so you will be passionate. But if it's your thoughts and feelings that are kind of under the weather a little bit, then you have some control of that because, like I said, they both reside in you. So you can make yourself feel better by doing things that you love, and you can refuse to tell yourself negative stories by looking at things objectively and refusing to accept the negative and replacing those narratives with something positive, and looking for the positives in situations and looking at other ways of looking at things if they do seem slanted in one extreme way. So you have more control than you think, and that control is going to help you regain balance. Number-wise, we got 13, and 4 is 17, and 5 is 22, right? 5 and 4 is 9, and 13 is 22. 22 is the master number of the builder. So building something new is a given, and make sure it's something balanced that you can rely on. Not something that's diluted in its positivity or negativity, or something that's extreme and aggressive and only focused on your will or someone else's. Or it's like, this used to annoy, when I was a student and you wrote papers, you always had to research everything and put the bibliography at the end and make sure you put in both points of view. And it's difficult when you're trying to argue for one thing or the other, but it's really helpful in learning that nothing is ever absolute and that everything has someone else's perspective or opinion, and that it means that you're not trapped to feel a certain way or to think a certain way because you know there's another way of doing it. So build something solid and something that's going to serve you objectively moving into the future, or the other way, this way. Have a great day. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to audio reading with me. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share the video online. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.